Already over a full week into the 2022 MLB season. So let's start chatting about roster updates here in MLB The Show 22. We are probably still some time away from the first roster update. I'm guessing about another 2 weeks or so, possibly 3 weeks. There's no better time than the present to start making some early investment plays. Now, I will say anybody we're talking about today, only 1 week of games is a very, very small sample size. It could be a hot start. It could be a lucky stretch. Tough to really decipher between the two, but we have some data to work with here and we can make some observations on how people are playing this year, and especially with the new quick sell values here in MLB The Show 22. I'll throw those up on the screen right now. It is extremely important to be getting in early on our investments. If we're getting in on an 80 overall gold down at quick sell value and he goes to diamond, that is going to be a big return than what we would have gotten last year, and we can get some returns along the way as well. But on the other end, if we're investing in an 84 close to quick sell and he gets up to a 85 overall diamond, there's not going to be much of a return on that investment. We really need those long-term plays this year. So getting in early on some of these roster update investments has huge potential to pay off in a massive way. What are the best ways to make subs, especially with where flipping is at in the current game? We need to be hitting on some updates. So I'm gonna go through, show off some people that I think are out to good starts here over the first week of the season, guys who I have my eye on. Of course, not a comprehensive list at all. There's going to be people I leave out. On the other end as well, we have to make sure we're viewing this from an investable standpoint as well. There's going to be some guys that are playing absolutely incredible, not really an investment option for a multitude of reasons, whether it be they don't have room to upgrade, they're already pretty high overall, their value and price point currently doesn't allow you to make any stubs. Many reasons for that, but we do have quite a few players who are off the hot starts. I think have a lot of room to grow. Let's hop into this one. First guy we're looking at here is Cubs catcher Willson Contreras. He's always struck me as a guy who has the potential to break out in a big way, and so far the Cubs offense looking a little bit more formidable this year, maybe providing a guy like Willson Contreras with some lineup protection there. His exit velocity and hard hit percentage are way up so far this year. He's absolutely been crushing the ball when he's been making contact with it. His strikeout rate is down and he's 7 for 15 so far against right-handed pitching. Definitely a lot of room to upgrade versus righties here. You can see his inside edge giving him a plus 13 today. That gets him up to an 82. I will say at his current price point, that 82 is our break-even value. If he were to get up to there, we could then quick sell him to break even. However, of course, if he gets up to an 82, his price is probably going to go above what the quick sell value of this card is. He is definitely a little bit on the pricier side. That 1100, I think, makes him a little bit tough to invest in at the current moment, but more of a guy to keep our eye on. His expecting average of 344 is a little bit below his 389 average right now, so we may see a little bit of regression to the mean. But at this point, a career high in average exit velocity, career high in hard hit percentage, really hitting the ball hard so far out the gate. If his price ever comes down at any, Stubs kind of inflated still from being a cheaper collection to complete in that City Connect program. If we see Willson Contreras' price come down, he keeps up his hot bat, definitely going to be a guy worth picking up a couple of. Speaking about the Cubs, we got to talk about Seiya Suzuki. Obviously, a lot of room to grow here. He's been absolutely demolishing the ball here so far for the Chicago Cubs. Solid defensive attributes as well. Ton of room to grow offensively. You can't invest in him right now. He's 4,300 stubs. Max price for a silver is 5,000 subs. There's no room from an investment standpoint for Suzuki at the current moment, but he is 100% a guy to keep an eye on if his price comes down as he's becoming more and more pulled from packs. He only just got added to the game yesterday, so he's still very rare. That's the reasoning for his high price point at the current time. That price point comes down a little bit. He keeps crushing the ball. Ton of room to grow offensively. Has the makeup of a guy who can definitely see some massive overall boost in the game. You just need that price to come down a little bit. That happens. Definitely going to be all in on a guy like Suzuki. Next guy we're looking at here is Brandon Nimmo. A guy, as you can see, offensively has a ton of room to grow. 68, 68, 64, 49. Those are not great offensive attributes. Of course, we know that around that 60 level is our league average for power, contact, things of that nature. I will say Brandon Nimmo, he is on the 10-day IL, but it is COVID related right now. So he's not necessarily hurt, not as if he has an ankle or a knee or an elbow injury, and we're worried about how he could come back and play. But he is going to miss a couple games, but that allows you to possibly come in and get a guy like Nimmo very cheap, who out the gate so far batting 333 here in 2022. Again, small sample size, 29 ABs, but he's batting 333 and a 375 isolated power number against a career 182 isolated power number out the gate so far in 2022. Showing a lot more power than what he has in the past. That Mets lineup, very deep, provides a ton of protection for a guy like Nimmo. His average exit velo at a career high right now by a significant margin. He almost has as many barrels so far through 6 games this year than he had in all of 21. So he's coming out the gate hitting the ball very well, and he's a guy who also, he played really well in 2021, had a not bad 2020 season either. His 2019 season wasn't really incredible, but it wasn't bad by any stretch of the matter. But as that 29 season kind of fades away this year, that 2020 and 2021 season take a little bit more weight on a guy like Nimmo's ratings. If he continues to hit the ball hard this year, I think he's a guy who has a ton of potential for upgrades. And the best part about Nimmo, at 206 stubs, lots of room for growth, lots of return possibly there on that investment. You get a Nimmo at 206, even if he just gets up to that 80 overall, you've already doubled your stubs. As he continues to move up from that as well, we can return more and more stubs on that investment. I like Brandon Nimmo a lot. Again, only 6 games, but he's looked really sharp in those 6 games. If he can continue it in any fashion, lots of room to upgrade here. He has solid defense holding up that overall, especially out there in right field. Third position player, we're looking at the heir to the Buster Posey throne. Just a 70 overall for a guy in Joey Bartow, who's a pretty highly considered prospect. He has been taking over starting catching duties for the Giants in the absence of Buster Posey after his retirement, and so far out the gate, my man Joey Bartow has come out pretty hot swinging. Again, he's just a 70 overall, so you want to look at a guy who has long-term potential to grow a lot over the course of the season and return a massive investment. I like Joey Bartow. Real quick, take a look at his price. 75 stubs on the market right now, so really affordable. We come in here, we look at his attributes. Batting 333 out the gate, 389 isolated power. He's hitting the ball hard. Already has 2 home runs in just his first 6 games. A 667 batting average on balls and plays, a little worrisome. We definitely expect that to drop down. Definitely some luck taking place there, but still a 294 expected batting average is very strong for a guy with 51, 58, 58, and 64 attributes offensively. Those are basically saying in every offensive category he is a below league average hitter. So far, he has not been a below league average hitter through the first week of the season. When he speeds it up, he's hitting it hard. 98.3 average exit velo right now. When he's making contact, he is crushing the ball. Only downside, his contact percentage can be a little bit higher. He's striking out 45% of the time right now. He's got to clean up the strikeouts a little bit, but if you can clean up the strikeouts and start making a little bit more consistent contact with the ball, he's clearly hitting the ball very hard when he does. If he can continue to do that, hit around 300, show off that power a little bit, all of a sudden he's getting into the 70s and the 80s for his contact and power numbers. He has enough defense to hold up his overall ever so slightly. A guy like Joey Bartow could go from bronze to mid to low gold possibly, and I think you can get a really solid return on your investment over the course of the season for a guy like Joey. Really like what I'm seeing from him so far. Young guy as well, which we know with young guys, they're going to be a little bit more extreme in their changes, both positive and negative. It's not as if a guy like Joey Bartow has a career track record to base off his attributes off of. He doesn't have that. So as he starts playing this year, his attributes are going to be more and more heavily weighted to how he's playing this year, because we are learning about the type of player and quality of player that he is. So Bart, like him a lot. Really solid young player in the league. Next guy we're looking at here, our last position player that we're going to talk about today, Jesus Sanchez. You can see a trend. Again, these aren't necessarily guys I'm saying go by right this very second, but just guys early on that have impressed me in this first week that I think we can keep an eye on, who watch over the course of the season and see some massive upgrades. Jesus Sanchez, a guy I really liked. I loved what he's done in the minor leagues for the Marlins. Got a little cup of tea in the majors last year. Didn't really impress too much, but he's come out the gate swinging so far this year. You can see he already has some pretty solid power numbers on his card, which we like that because that's helping his overall boost up a little bit. He has some solid defense as well. 49 and 51 on the contact rating is pretty bad, though, especially for a guy that over his first 7 games so far this year, he's batting .310. Pretty solid batting average so far, and he's batting .400 versus righties, so can definitely see a big jump there versus right-handed pitching. He has an expected batting average so far via Fangraphs of .358, so even an argument to be made that he's getting slightly unlucky so far. Pretty high average exit velo so far, hitting the ball hard overall. Has some solid defense helping him up. He just needs that contact numbers to really rise up, a little bit of bump in the power. And he's a guy that could be closing in on becoming a gold caliber player, if not even a little bit higher with some more contact numbers. He's on a Marlins team that honestly is not a bad team at all. It's pretty sneaky. They got some nice young guys that can provide some protection and a nice, well-rounded lineup with that pitching staff as well. Probably get a power upgrade as well for Jesus Sanchez. 379 isolated power so far. He has 2 home runs in 7 games. He swings a really big bat. He's a really fun young player to watch on that Marlins team. Been playing good so far out the gate. Another guy I'm really keeping a really close eye on. In terms of price wise, 180 on the market right now, so not too terribly expensive by any stretch of the matter. Definitely an affordable investment, and a guy who you're getting in at 180, not really expecting him to go down in price from that point, so a pretty safe price point to invest in. Out of the pitchers, first guy we're looking at here, man, he's looking like one of the best pitchers up and coming in the game. It's Logan Webb. We all remember his postseason last year. He's come out that gate hot in 14 innings pitched so far. He has given up 9 hits. It's a little bit higher than we want to see, but only 2 earned runs with 1 walk allowed and 10 strikeouts. We'd like to see him strike out just a little bit more. You can see, where does he have the most room to grow attribute wise? That is that Ks per 9 number sitting there at 66. Definitely room to grow there, so we want to see him strike out a few more batters than what he's done over the first 2 starts. But he did strike out 7 over 8 innings in his most recent start, just allowing 4 hits and 1 run. He allowed 5 hits and 1 run over 6 innings in his first start. So both first 2 starts have been really strong for Logan Webb. The peripheral numbers back up those performances as well. He's looked really sharp. Honestly, a guy who could probably just get firm upgrades all across the board. You look at his price point here, 1,100 stubs. Again, that's meaning he's going to need to get up a decent chunk in overall to return that as a quick sell investment. But as a guy who I think long-term has the potential to easily get to diamond this year, if not even mid to high diamond this year, got a lot of potential on that front, and we can see a really big return on our investment if we can hit on that properly. Logan Webb almost certainly is going to go up at some point this year with how he's been pitching. Well, definitely 1,100 stubs is a little high. I'd like to get him a little bit closer to that quick sell value to maximize any sort of returns we can get on a guy like Webb, but there's no doubt he's turning into one of the best pitchers in the league right now. We see it. That stuff is filthy. Definitely expect a big year out of Logan Webb. Next guy we're looking at here, another young Braves pitchers. They seem to have an unlimited supply of these. You may remember Kyle Wright from the 2020 postseason. He had some work at the major league level as well in 2020. Was a pretty highly touted prospect. Didn't really just dominate in that 2020 season for what we saw of him. But so far through 2 starts here in the 2022 season, 11 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts for Kyle Wright. You can see that 50 Ks per 9 rating, if he's striking out people at a 12.27 Ks per 9, will be much higher than 50 over the course of the season. We can see his walks as well. Almost more importantly, 38 walks per 9, yet he's only walked 1 batter in his first 11 innings pitched. Again, it's only 2 starts. Maybe he's a flash in the pan, has a solid 2 starts, and he blows up next outing. Not really sure. That's why it's a guy that we're keeping our eye on, but he's looked really good. He's a guy who's a young pitcher. He's had good stuff, but he's had some control issues, clearly, as we can see by his ratings. So far, that control has been there this season, and it's been the difference in why he's been performing so well. The peripherals back up his number quite a bit. A .89 FIP, 2.20 xFIP to go along with his 1.64 ERA. Of course, those numbers don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it is a good indicator of how a pitcher is performing overall. 7 hits allowed in 11 innings. He's just looked really sharp so far through his first 2 starts for the Braves. And again, had a 65 overall bronze. He's a 25 quick sell value. He is a little bit pricier here at 108 stubs at the current moment, but 108 stubs, 65 overall. Lots and lots of room to grow. He keeps pitching how he's pitching. Definitely going to get some massive upgrades. And again, we're looking at long-term plays this year. Lots of chance to pay off in a massive way. Kyle Wright, 100% one of those guys. Third pitcher I'm keeping my eye on, Manaea here, the newly acquired lefty for the Padres. One thing I like about Manaea out the gate, we can see he already has a really high walks per nine. That is really keeping up his 78 overall. That's the reason he is a 78 overall. His high walks per nine rating, that is like the crutch for him. That is his foundation. That's his baseline. You can see though his 54 Ks per nine is what's holding him back. That's what's keeping him from being a mid-gold, maybe even a guy who could touch diamond, all in that Ks per nine. However, through 2 starts so far in the 2022 campaign, 13 strikeouts over 13 innings. That is a really, really, really good rate for striking out batters. Definitely much better than a 54 Ks per nine rating. As well, over those 13 innings, just 4 hits allowed as well. So you could probably see a hits per nine slightly bump to over time. Next couple starts for Manaea going to be really, really important. He could be a guy that could get some pretty solid boost early on out the gate. You'll take a look at his price. Only 270 stubs for a 78 overall. For a card that quick sells at 125, not a whole lot of risk there. He's really, really low priced for a 78 overall. Even a +2, you would have a return on your investment with that 400 quick sell. I like Manaea a lot with how he's looking at his first 2 starts. His third and fourth start going to be crucial, I think, for him to get upgrades early on in the season. But if he can continue to strike out people how he has, he's got that Padres offense behind him. Be a guy shaping up to have a huge year down there in San Diego. Next guy we're looking at here, honestly, really similar to Manaea in the sense that high walks per nine on Miles Mikolas is the only reason he's a 76 overall. That is hard carrying his overall. So that allows us a lot of room to grow and become a very high overall pitcher. If we can improve our hits per nine, if we can improve our Ks per nine, there is a lot of room to grow right there. Those 2 go up, his overall is going to skyrocket. Now, take a look at Miles, only 2 starts this year. Does have 10.1 innings pitched, 10 in the third innings. Not a large sample size, but a guy who's shown some pretty solid stuff at different points in his career. So far over 10 innings, he struck out 8 and allowed 9 hits. Now, 9 hits over 10 innings, not crazy, but 8 strikeouts over 10 innings, that's definitely not that bad at all. Only walked 3 batters over those 10 innings as well. So his walks per nine is probably very properly rated, but he's a guy who has had 2 solid outings at the gate, a 2.61 ERA so far. Nice peripherals to back that up as well. Definitely not blowing me away by any stretch of the matter, but a guy who strings together a couple more solid starts and he could suddenly be in a prime position to get a really strong upgrade here whenever those first couple roster updates start to roll around. As of yet, you take a look at his price, 131 stubs for Miles here. Really, really strong price you can come in and pick up. Have a chance to return quite a large return on your investment there at just 131 stubs. Not a lot that you're risking at that price point. Unlikely that he's dipping too much significantly lower than that, even though it's not at quick sell. It's getting down there to quick sells for our low end silvers. Not a whole lot of risk involved. The guy definitely is high up on my list to watch this year to see how he performs. Last name here we're going to talk about today, Carlos Carrasco. You may remember him from his time on the Guardians. Was a really, really strong pitcher for a solid stretch there with Cleveland. Part of that Francisco Lindor trade to the Mets. He's been dealing with injuries so far in his time in New York. Has not gotten the chance to really consistently play and show that he can be that same caliber pitcher he was while he was in Cleveland. But as I'm recording this video, he just wrapped up his start today versus the Diamondbacks. 2 starts in here for the 2022 campaign. Carrasco is looking very, very sharp. 2 2/3 innings pitched so far. He's only given up 1 run over that time, 5 hits, just 2 walks, and 13 strikeouts over 10 2/3 innings. Really, really strong start for a guy like Carrasco, who again has a track record of not being very far removed from being a really strong, solid pitcher. From his time in Cleveland, was a solid number 2 for them for a while. Definitely a guy now back healthy, back throwing again. If he can get into his rhythm this season, I think he can still showcase that pitcher and that quality of guy that he was back just several years ago. He's shown that here with his first 2 starts. Really, really sharp. You take a look at his price as well, just 150 stubs on the marketplace. I think the cheapest guy that maybe we've mentioned today, one of the cheapest guys we've mentioned today at least. Very, very affordable guy of an investment with a track record, lots of room to upgrade as well with his walks per nine, Ks per nine, hits per nine across the board. Really, really like what I'm seeing from Carrasco so far. He's looked kind of nasty in his first 2 starts. That third start will be really interesting to watch there. A guy who certainly has a ton of potential to make a massive return this year. So there you have it. It is early, but It's never too early to start thinking about roster update investments here in MLB The Show 22, especially again with the changes this year. We want to get in early on these guys so we can make these massive returns. Of course, as we get closer to our first roster update, probably 2 to 3 weeks, we're gonna have a couple more videos going over who I think will actually get upgraded at this time versus this kind of appetizer video where we just have some guys that I like this year who I'm keeping an eye on. Definitely expect a fair share of roster update content this year. I love going over the roster updates. I love breaking everything down. Y'all let me know down in the comment section below, who have you been impressed with so far in the first week, and do you think is going to get a massive upgrade in MLB The Show 22? As always, if you enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, catch y'all around.